right, we're recording. What's up, everybody? Chris Orzechowski here with good friend and longtime client of mine, actually, Jeff Walker. So I've spoken a lot about Jeff many times in the past, recently, this week, but also in some of my books and emails over the years. Jeff is, as far as I'm concerned, the number one expert on launches. I've been following him since I got started. When I was a copywriter, I remember I wanted to do launches for people. So I started reading Jeff's books and his emails and watching his YouTube videos. It was crazy because years later, I got the opportunity to work on Jeff's copy team, which was like an absolute dream come true. One of my favorite clients ever, just an all around awesome dude. And here he is, and we have him here, and we're going to talk about launches because this is a guy who's just taught me so much, and I wanted to just bring him in for my people and share some stuff that maybe you might not see in some of his other materials. Just want to talk about some of the things I've learned from him, and so thank you so much, Jeff, for being here, and let's get into it.
Thanks, Chris. I'm excited to be here. I love talking to you. Before we hit the record button, we were just catching up and sharing some of the craziness in our lives, and it is just good to see you. And I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely. So, quick context. So, I actually just sent an email about this. But if you're watching this, you probably saw that email. But one of the things that is crazy about Jeff's stuff is like he was the guy who like taught everyone how to do these large scale product launches. And it's funny because I always tell people success leaves clues. And like if you just follow the steps that someone lays out, they tend to work pretty well. I had done a lot of launches, for Jeff and for John Assaraf and a lot of other people who sell courses and even physical products, and had done a bunch of multi-million dollar launches, multi six figure launches, all these things. With my own list, I had never been able to crack six figures, and it was kind of like eating away at me because then some of my friends who have lists were starting to do six figure launches to their lists, and I was like, damn it, what the hell is going on? And I said, what if I just went like back to the launch book, like literally, his book that you could buy on Amazon. And I was like, let me just read through that again, make sure I'm nailing everything, and actually do every single thing to a T. And that's exactly what I did with my Write Yourself Rich launch last October. $289,000 in sales in like a 3 week period. It was the most insane launch. I'd done bigger number of launches for other people, but obviously that money was not going into my bank account. It was going into their bank account. So when it happens to your own list, it's crazy. And I was telling Jeff, I was like, it was almost this weird feeling because I had just done everything that he said and didn't like leave anything up to, like, oh, let me try these other random strategies. I said, let me just execute. And I did that. And then it was weird because it was almost like it happened to someone else and I was like watching it from afar. It was just the weirdest feeling. And launches, like what's crazy about launches is the velocity, right? Your business will probably grow over time, but it's going to happen at a very slow pace. It's kind of like an index fund, right? And when you're doing a Jeff Walker style launch, it's almost like you're investing in like Nvidia and all of a sudden it just goes up like this. It's kind of nuts if you're not prepared for it. I definitely wasn't prepared for it with my own list. But what I did with that launch, and these are the things that you learn in Jeff's launch masterclass, like PLCs, sideways sales letter, bring in affiliates. The list growth was crazy. My list grew 20% in about a week,
Wow.
which was crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
It went from like 10,000. Actually, it might have grown. I think it went from 10 to 13,000. And then, we had some unsubscribes and things. But why did that happen? We had partners mailing. We did the affiliate strategy that Jeff talks about. And that was the first time I'd actually done that and said, let me get everyone together and again, follow the formula. And it was nuts. It was so crazy how it worked. So thank you,
Yeah.
Jeff, for
You're
doing what you
welcome.
do.
I never get sick of hearing these stories, and that out of body experience of having all those orders, those sales come in is I have experienced that. It's amazing. I can still remember. I could. I've been teaching this for 20 years. I've been doing it for 30 years. And I can still, it's such a visceral experience that I can still remember in those early days what those launches were like when you almost didn't believe in yourself yet. Like Chris, I mean, you're a pro, you're a pro's pro. And you've seen everything. You've seen behind the scenes. You've seen, but like when it's flowing into your account, it can be an out of body experience. And I'm really good at I'm really good at staying enthused about this business because I can remember what it was like in those early days, and then to see the light bulb turn on for someone when that happens to them, it's crazy. And I would say that over the long run, the dollar result you got from that launch, which was amazing and awesome and incredible, and it created an out-of-body experience, but it might even that those extra 3,000 leads you got in your list in the long run are probably going to be worth more than those dollars you made.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like so many people in my audience, they have like trouble growing their list. And sometimes when I dive into it, when I'm like consulting with people, I'm like, okay, well, tell me what you've done the last 7 days. And they're like, well, I've done nothing. I'm like, well, okay, your list is not going to grow if you've done nothing. Like, it's okay if you do nothing, if you have like ads running or something, or you built up a lot of SEO or a YouTube channel and they're trickling in, but like, you got to do something, right? So there's a lot of strategies. And what I tell people is like, everything works. Like, if you post on social every day, it's going to work. If you run ads and you invest some time and money and focus and test things, it'll work, right? But in terms of like velocity, one of the things I've been leaning into now more with my own list, we always get into this mode of like, I want more email subscribers. I want more email subscribers. Then you start like posting on social more. And like, again, that can work. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, like you could just get people to send you email subscribers and send you customers. And like, if you're trying to, like, it's the shortest point between point A and point B. And this is one of the things like I now have 168 affiliates and I'm bringing on more every single week. And I'm not going to stop until I get 1,000 or more, right? That's my goal because what I've recognized is like if I can incentivize the right people to send me traffic, then the traffic problem is solved. A lot of people, they like try to do this all alone. And what a lot of people don't realize is like the best businesses in the world all have partnerships with each other. I mean, there's even look at Oreo cookies. Like they just did, I think they did like a Selena Gomez Oreo, which like is the weirdest. I don't know what that tastes like. Kind of weird, right? But like they're always constantly doing partnerships with other brands, it's like Oreo and Chips Ahoy or Oreo and Coca-Cola, right? It's like, why are they doing these things? Because we say, we have this customer base and you have this customer base. And if we cross promote each other, a rising tide lifts all ships. And that is like the biggest thing that I feel like is sometimes not as mentioned with like everyone talks about the launch, they talk about the videos, and they talk about the coaching program itself that you're going to or the book or whatever it is that you're actually like the product you're selling. But the strategy of getting traffic and increasing the lead velocity that you have into the business, launches, in my opinion, are one of the best ways to grow your list and grow it very, very fast. And what you will find is that if you just did one or two big launches a year, maybe you have two products and you do a launch for each, one in the spring, one in the fall, whatever it is, that might account for 80 to 90% of your list growth the entire year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chris, just inside baseball here. Right now, I'm in the middle of my launch. I do one launch a year. And yesterday, during the day from midnight to midnight, I added 3,400 leads to my list just yesterday alone.
Wow.
3,400 leads. And I didn't pay a penny for them because our partners are sending into our launch. And why? Because our launch, first of all, we take care of their people. We deliver this amazing experience. We deliver all kinds of free content. And at the end of the day, it the launch is going to convert. Well, at least it has for the last 20 years. I'm 20 years into doing this, into teaching this. And we were 20, I don't know, 22, something like that, consecutive $1 million launches. It converts. So our partners are happy to send leads because we're going to take care of those leads. We're going to have a good experience. And then we're going to make sales. And then I'm going to send commissions. That's why I got 3,400 leads yesterday. So, and that's just one day. This launch is a few weeks long. So we'll probably do somewhere between 30 and 40,000 leads, new people on the list. And I know these numbers for some people, they might sound, you might not be able to relate to them. They just sound so absolutely crazy. But it's just a matter of scale. Like
Mhm.
you can do this where you're getting 10 new leads a day or 100 new. It it just doesn't, it's the process that wins. And then it's just scaling up that process.
Yeah. I remember I did one of like my courses on copywriting, like for copywriters, I had to get clients and things. I did a webinar with Derek Johansson from Copy Hour. I think this is back in like maybe 2019-ish. I did it. And I remember through that webinar, I added like 264 people to my list. So my list went from, I don't know, maybe it was like 700 to like 900 something, which was, at percentage wise, a big jump. But I was like, oh my God, I got 264 leads. This is nuts, But now I have 14,000, right? And of course, like it takes time, everything takes time, but now this is a strategy that I can continuously use. And like 5 years from now, 6 years from now, the list could be 10 times the size it is now. And like that's why someone like Jeff or some of these, everyone sees like the big name people, right? So they see all these other, big names, and they have a list of 300,000 people or a million people or 80,000 people. It's like, well, yeah, because they're not doing it alone, right? It's
Right.
partnerships. Those are the things that I think personally are one of the easiest ways. Like all of your people, all of your future customers are on someone else's list somewhere else right now.
Yep. Yep.
Somewhere.
And-
Like the internet
Yeah.
is just one big collection of lists. That's all it is.
Right. And and the thing that makes those partnerships work is an offer and basically a sales system that converts. And that's where the launches are so phenomenal. Chris, I want to go back. You mentioned that idea of how the list growth is gradual for all of us. Well, I mean, this week for me in our launch, it's crazy town. It's just straight up. But normally, for the rest of the year, my list growth is normal. I get, you know, tens or hundreds of people coming in, and you see that list growth, and it's like, cool, that's nice. But then that acceleration when you do a launch is just absolutely amazing. And I love having both of those things in my business, where you're doing that gradual list growth. And hopefully it's not just leads, hopefully it's sales. I know, Chris, you got a course coming up on
Hmm.
how to do like constant promotions for low ticket offers. And so you're building a list of buyers. And so you've got that revenue coming in on an ongoing basis, which is just amazing for a business. And then, like you said, a couple times a year, you do that launch, and all of a sudden it's like this explosion. And I love having that, both the constant stream of income and the big spikes up, because big spikes of revenue are awesome.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, here's how I look at it, right? Like for me, there's a lot of people out there who want to run ads, and then there's people who are kind of like scared to run ads. Like for me, like I have a little bit of ice in my veins just because I've been running ads for myself with my own cash for like 5 years. When I started, I did not have ice in my veins. When I started, it was very terrifying. It's like, oh my gosh, am I just lighting money on fire every day? And then, you eventually learn about payback periods and LTV, and you really like you heard that stuff in the past, but until it's your own money, you don't really internalize those lessons. So like nowadays, like, we spend anywhere from, I think we're probably spending, I don't know, 150, $200 a day. Like we've spent as much as $500 a day. And which is pretty crazy because I remember that's more than what my business used to make in a month. And now we're just spending that on traffic and hopefully breaking even, right? Um, Ads are awesome, but the cool thing about launches is that they de-risk all of your lead acquisition. And that's a big thing too. Like for someone like me, like I have cash in the bank. If I go negative and lose $3,000 in a month on ads, it's okay, right? I'm not going to have to like not pay my mortgage or not be able to feed my children. We're good, right? If you're just starting out and you're earlier on, or if you don't have a war chest built up, or you don't have a solid acquisition system that is going to convert to cold traffic, like what a launch does is just de-risks the entire process. Because what are you doing? You're having partners send to a video series, a training, a webinar, any kind of pre-launch content, which is free value, so their audience is taken care of and they feel good about it. People get a good educational and transformational experience as they're going through this stuff, so they're learning something more about how to solve the problems and make their business or their life better, whatever it is. And then there's a commission structure where all the people promoting your launch are going to get paid if and when they make sales. So if for some reason no one makes any sales, then it's not like you just had to spend $100,000 to get all these people to promote. So it aligns all of the incentives. Everyone sits on the same side of the table, which is really nice. So, you know, do you use one or the other? No, I think ultimately you use both. I mean, Jeff's been running ads for years. I mean, when I worked for Jeff, I wrote countless Facebook ads. That's one of the things. Like in between launches, before the launches, during the launches, after the launches, right? It's a constant like thing. But you also, that's kind of like the baseline, right? And then you have these big spikes when you do the launches. So like if you're doing both of those things, your list is going to continuously grow, and it's a compounding asset. It's like an index fund. It's like when you buy an index fund today, you're not going to get rich tomorrow, but in 5 years, you're going to wake up and be like, holy crap, that really grew out of nowhere.
I love that. I'm writing down index fund because I've never used that or heard that analogy, but that is just so perfect. I love that analogy.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's how it is. I mean, I remember when I was working for you, I remember one time in the Slack, it must have been you or someone else posted like, "Hey, we just had a customer buy after 9 years of being on the list," and I was like, "That is nuts." And it's funny because a few weeks ago, I had someone buy and they had been on my list since 2021. They had never bought anything, and they finally subscribed to my print newsletter. And I was like, "Wow, it took 4 years." And obviously, we don't want that to happen with all of our leads, but like, it is literally like an index fund, right? It's like it's not going to make an email list is not going to make you rich tomorrow, but that asset will continue to pay you. Like that's why it's the number one asset in any business, in my opinion, is the customer database or the leads database. Like that's where the money and the value in the business is.
Yeah, we did a high-end workshop. It was $14,000 just last about 6 months ago, and I had someone buy who last bought from me 15 years ago. It's just in 2009. It's just like the value. If you take care of people, if you deliver value over time, it is like that index fund that just all of a sudden it's like wow, I tripled my money just
Yeah.
by having my money invested that way. That's the way a list is. And especially, you need to think about, a list is their prospects and clients,
Hmm.
two different, your whole job is to take people, put them on that prospect list, and then a launch turns them into clients. And once they become clients, the odds of them buying from you again, in my experience, is about 15 times better.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Another thing I love about your process is that it's an event. And that's another thing that like you mention, and I think people hear it, but I don't think that they really grasp that concept, like turning your launch into an event. Obviously, there's a lot of different examples. We'll mention two of them, which we were talking about before. But like, I've had a lot of people tell me, which I don't necessarily believe this is true of all things. I think there's usually other issues, but a lot of people say like people don't buy unless there's a deadline, and I think maybe that's true in some cases, not all cases. But what a launch does is it gives people a reason to act now. There's two launches that just happened. We were just talking about the Home Rosie book launch, and he sold, I don't know, 40 million dollars at least so far worth of books, which is kind of nuts. Like for a week's worth of, or I mean, they've worked on it for longer than a week, but like for essentially, going live and then the next day, and then I guess he's got another 1 or 2 days or whatever it is, the promotion. Like it's a lot of books, it's a lot of cash collected, very impressive result. And the other one was the Taylor Swift launch, right? Like all of these things happen, whether it's an album or whether it's an information product or even physical products. I've done Kickstarter launches. I did one of the biggest Kickstarter launches of all time back in 2016. I sold $5.2 million worth of watches, and that's 2016 dollars. So really, it's like 7 million today worth of
Wow.
watches in a 30-day period. Because again, we turned it into an event and gave people a reason to act now. And like that's one of those things where when you do that, there are people who will join when the problem matures to a point where they're like, okay, I'm ready to solve this right now. But that is usually a smaller percentage of people than who will be paying attention when there's a launch and an event and something exciting and new and fresh happening.
Absolutely. I mean, I had two launch. My first launch ever did $1,650. My second launch ever did right around $6,000. And they were the same offer to essentially a very similar list. And that second launch, it was just tracking along about like the way the first launch went until the last day, because in the second launch I put a deadline on it, and on that last day the sales just spiked. It was just crazy to see the sales coming in. It was that out of body experience for me, because the first launch I sent that out, I didn't expect anyone to buy it from me, and at $1,600, that's amazing. Then, and it was open ended. There was no deadline. The second launch, I put a deadline on it. I can't remember why I didn't. No one was teaching marketing back then. There was no event-based marketing. There was no launches back then. This is in the 90s. But then that last day, I went from a launch that looked like it would probably do somewhere around 1,800 bucks to 6,000. And I could just see one order after another. And that was the last time I ever made an offer that didn't have a deadline. People will buy without a deadline. When that, as you said, when the pain gets to a high enough level, when then just the absolute need gets to a high enough level. But when you turn your marketing into an event and you gather all the momentum and the excitement and the attention of turning your marketing into an event, that's a huge lever. And then when you have that deadline, that's a lever that generally pretty much doubles sales. That's what we see at the end of a launch these days is you will generally, I mean, there are different factors that can impact this, but generally you'll pretty much double your sales in that last 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah, I was doing a launch for two of my buddies one time, and this was like their first course launch. Like I had done a bunch, but like they just Mike Young and Bobby Hoyt from Laptop Empires, they teamed up. We did a course called the Facebook Side Hustle course about learning how to run Facebook ads for local businesses. They did 139K in 4 days. Um, on their first ever launch. And I would say probably at least 30 to 40% of the sales came on that last day. And it was funny because I wrote the sequence and like they were looking at the emails and like some of these like the one email was like the 1 hour before the deadline. It was like, hey, last chance, by the way, here's the link. And they're like, is this really gonna work? This is so short. I said, just trust me. And they said that email, like that last email they sent, it just like lit up the the Stripe notifications just pop, 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 they just kept coming in and they had like never seen anything like it. It was so funny. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, and I see this in my own launches. Like, I'll stay up. I'll say, I don't know why I do this to myself. I say, oh, because I got 3 kids now, and I don't sleep well. But I'm like midnight. I got to start making my deadlines at like 9 p.m. But I say midnight,
Dude,
and I stay up, and then all of a sudden, like 11:30, they're coming in.
yeah, so one thing, Chris, is if you made it 9 p.m., you would see all those sales come in at 9 p.m.
I should probably
That's
do that.
something we did midnight and it was like midnight Eastern. And then I was like, well, let's do midnight Pacific and we'll get 3 more hours of sales. Then I was like, let's do midnight Hawaii and we'll get 2 more hours of sales. And so we did that. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, we're like, does this really make sense? No, it doesn't. So I made it's now 8 p.m. local for me. It's like 10 p.m. Eastern is when we close down now, just because I'm like, they're going to come in whenever we say.
Yeah.
And yeah. And here's the thing, the way we thought about it, and we meaning myself and my son Dan, who's like runs our marketing, and Justin on our team, we're like, we want the close to be at the time of what is the time of the greatest intimacy? Is it like when someone on the East Coast, it's 3 a.m. on the East Coast, it's midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. on the East Coast, and someone's sitting in their office, in their dark office at 2:50 a.m. And they're looking at an email that says, we're closing down. And it's like, where's the intimacy there? There's no
Hmm.
intimacy there. So what we started doing was we do a live broadcast where we'll actually count down into the close. I'll literally have my phone set up on a little tripod, and it will be counting down into the close. And then I can walk people into the close because it's a way more intimate experience if we're live face to face than if there's just an email hit. And
Man,
sure enough, it worked.
that is a good idea.
Yeah,
If people get nothing else from the, I might have to try that with my next launch of doing
yeah,
that live. Like,
yeah.
wow,
And dude,
that's
like,
really
I mean,
cool.
what we said, like, we just looked and said, like, the most successful home shopping things, like, when it was 10 p.m. Eastern was when they closed.
Hmm.
So it's like, maybe we should do it at 10 p.m. And then we can do it live in front of people, counting this down, cheering them on. It,
Hmm.
it worked really. In fact, what we did was we turned it into sort of as an opening ceremony celebration, because at this point we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have already joined us in and registered, right? So we did a broadcast, the closing broadcast. It was the closing broadcast of the launch, but it was the opening broadcast of the program, and we
Mm.
invited all the people that had already bought So they're all on there partying up. We're celebrating them. We're celebrating the how their lives are about to change. And then we also invited the people who hadn't bought yet. And the combined social proof and the power of that was just off the charts.
Wow. So that
Dude,
is some new innovation.
check this out, dude. Like because we're what? Like as we're recording this, we're a little over a week away from doing this.
Hmm.
You should definitely attend. It's super cool.
Oh, I think I will. I think I will. Yeah. Damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. I never even, I mean, it does make sense because, yeah, like you QVC, all those channels, like that's what they do. It's like okay, we got 3 minutes left. Any last question? Like, so that's a really cool way to do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope
you do
people,
that, Chris. You launched this product for 20 years. You learn a few things.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you made the playbook and then you broke it and remade it, and like it's your playbook, like
Yeah,
you get to
a
make.
dozen times broken and remade. Yeah.
Yeah, you get to make a. I remember we had first done the live. That was a new thing. What was that 2018 or 2019, whatever year that was? Like the
Yeah, I
first
think
live
maybe
launch.
18 probably. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Whoa, this is scary." Like, I mean, like
Yeah,
scary
no,
in a good way, but I was like, "This is crazy." Like, I can't
it
believe this
was
guy's gonna do
scary.
this.
Yeah, because like in 15 we went to like the video, beautiful cinematic video. And then I think it was 18 where I felt a change coming and we went to all live broadcasts, and that was a massive change, a big risk. It was the video in 15 that was incredibly successful. 15, 16, 17, then 18 we went full live, 18, 19, and of course we were set up perfectly for COVID then.
Hmm.
And then a couple years ago, we actually remade it again, and we're doing so it's basically a hybrid. We go with the beautiful video for the PLC one, PLC two, which for those of you who aren't in our world yet, then go opt in and you can learn what this stuff means. But PLC one, PLC two, beautiful video, moves super snappy, very bingeable, and then we go into the live broadcast once we get into the open cart.
Yeah. It really just is a beautiful process. I mean, and that's why, I've been in this is 12th year in online business for me. One of the things that I've seen, which, you've been in this even longer, so you've seen it too. It's just like sometimes it feels like there's a lot of like change is the only constant. You know what I mean? Like things are always changing. Now there's AI and all this other stuff, right? And things will just continue to evolve. But like the thing that I always talk to people about, I was like, it's just crazy that Jeff has this process. And I've literally said this. I say this to people all the time. Like, I use your name as an example. I'm like, Jeff Walker, he PLF for like 20 years. I was like, it's just insane the staying power. But it's a beautiful process because it, I remember like when I first started working for you, I was like, how does this guy get people, like, how does he sell something at this price point to people who've never met him? And I was like, well, he has this beautifully orchestrated process where like you provide a shit ton of value, you teach them something. And I was one of these people who like started picking little pieces from like your free stuff and like your book that's like $20 on Amazon or whatever it is, and putting together launches with just that. I was like, holy crap, like if I could get the result with just that stuff, what happens when you're in the program? You know what I mean? Like, so it's insane. But I was always just so amazed that you could do that. But the process, the proof is in the process, right? Like, you take people through this experience, they spend time with you on video, you help them understand their problem, you help them understand the solution, you show them the transformation, you actually give them stuff to do, right? Like they could watch the launch masterclass and learn how to do a launch. And then if they want, they can go take it and do it themselves. But if they want help and support and hand holding and more resources and they want to dot every I and cross every T and do it, 10x it, then there's the program for that, right? And it just works. It just works so beautifully. So that's why I will promote Jeff Walker every year. And that's why I have promoted him every year since I've worked with him because it's awesome. He's awesome. All of his stuff is awesome. And it's just crazy. It's just a testament to like the fact that this product still just kicks ass and people still use it. And it's just so funny because every year someone's like, this thing's dead, that thing's dead, this, whatever. Like PLF is just like it's part of the DNA of like selling online. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like it just freaking works. It's so crazy. So I've used it, obviously using when I work for Jeff. I used it with other clients. And the other thing too, like for a lot of copywriters who, follow me, like I have thousands and thousands of copywriters. Even before I was working with Jeff, like I was a launch copywriter. That's every project was a launch. I would do launches every single month. And it's lucrative, right? Like you can do launches for people because they're big projects that make a lot of money for people, that deliver awesome results for people, and you can get paid very well. Like they're big projects that you could sell, and launches are never going to go out of style. I mean, again, like every single industry does launches. Like if you learn how to launch, it's a good idea. Like you're never going to be without work, in my opinion, if you learn how to launch.
Absolutely. All the biggest companies, Apple never just releases an iPhone. Hollywood
Mhm.
never just releases a movie. The gaming industry, they never just release a game. It doesn't just appear. There's a process to it. And I think what I've done is I've codified and refined it in a way that like regular people like you and me can do it and have all that power of the launch.
Yeah. Jeff, thank you for taking the time. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you're in the middle of launch and this time is very valuable. What I want to just tell people is like if you need list growth, join the Launch Masterclass. See how to do it. If you need a product to sell, if your product isn't selling, you're not sure why, if you want to make more money in your business, if you want to help more people, if you want more partners, if you want all these benefits and more, just at least just sign up for the Launch Masterclass because it's awesome. It's a ton, it's like hours and hours and hours of free content. So, and then if you're ready to take the next step, join PLF. I've been through PLF multiple times. It's awesome. Can't say enough good things about it. Thank you very much, Jeff, for being here. And I hope you have an awesome day and an awesome launch.
Yeah, same, Chris. It was great catching up. Great and great. Just love this conversation.
Hell yeah, man. We'll talk soon.